Hey guys, welcome to the video. My name is Delaya from thedelayab.com, and I'm an elevated streetwear designer who wants to help women personalize their style so they can feel better and bolder about themselves and their passions. So we are in the middle of a 5-part series. Yes, 5 whole parts, and we are on the second video, so this is part 2. Last week we talked about the 6 steps you need in order to get into sewing. This week I'm going to share with you the bare minimum essential tools that you'll need. I'm talking straight, cut and dry, like point blank period. When I started sewing, I didn't have basically everything I have now. It was very simple, very cut and dry, and that is the list I'm going to share with you today. Before we start though, like I said, this is a 5-part series. In the 5th video, I want to do a Q&A for all my followers. So if you have any questions about sewing, fashion design, or whatever what have you, you can put them in the comment box below and I will answer them in that last video to wrap up the series. Now that we got that out the way, let's get started. So the first thing you'll need is thread. So you'll need thread to go in and out the fabric. Thread is used to keep everything together. It holds your pieces together in place. Thread can come on many different types of spools. This is a small one, usually used for home sewing machines. This is a bigger one, usually used for industrial machines. Because I sew a lot, I use this one on my industrial machine, and I tape a pin to my machine and just use it that way. And we will quickly follow that up with a needle. I'm going to start the list off with a hand needle because at the bare minimum, a hand needle is all you need. Hand sewing takes a long time, but bare minimum, bare essentials, if you have a hand needle and thread, you're good to go. There are different hand sewing needles for different jobs. Some of them are for embroidery. Some of them are for thicker fabrics. So normally there's a whole pack around this. Mine is trashed, but the pack will tell you what each sewing needle is for. Next item that you'll need is scissors. Keeping it very basic, scissors that are sharp enough to cut thread is what you'll need. So if you want to go beyond that, there are different types of scissors. So one pair of scissors that you'll need is for cutting paper, pattern paper, note paper, I don't know, for cutting paper. The second pair of scissors that you'll need is for fabric. You do not want to use the scissors that you use for cutting fabric to cut paper. When you cut paper and anything else, it dulls the blade of the scissors. So you want a pair of scissors specifically for cutting fabric. This will ensure that you'll get sharp, straight, and crisp cutting lines each time. These are my scissors. These are more professional industrial scissors. You can use any type of fabric scissors that'll work for you. And these are my paper scissors because we do not cut paper with fabric scissors. Next thing you'll need are pins. These are stick pins. You use them to stabilize pieces together, so you pin the pieces together, and as you sew, it keeps the pieces from moving as it goes through the machine. If you don't pin it, say you have a piece right here, this is your fabric, if you don't pin it, things can go off, and if things go off, it ruins the fit and how the garment comes out, and it won't come out correctly. So pins help you keep things in place. If I wanted to, I could stop here. Like, these 4 items are the basic essential things you need for sewing. It is not for efficient sewing, but nonetheless, you can sew things together. When I started sewing, I think even before I had the machine, I made this little denim purse. It was like a sack purse. Denim. I took like the plastic window from a wallet and I hand sewed that onto the front. Hand sewed the purse, and then I did a fat shoelace draw cord, and I hand sewed that also. I did it on the way to Vegas, and it looked okay. I mean, no, it looked like crap, but I did it with just needle, thread, scissors, and stick pins, and it came out okay. So now moving on to the 21st century and where things are a little easier. Is this still 21st century? Yes, it is. Don't be dumb. Is it 2000? Yes, it is still 21st century. I'll start the list off with a sewing machine. You don't need a sewing machine, like I said earlier, but for efficiency, time's sake, sewing machine is great. Now, you don't need an expensive sewing machine. You don't need an industrial sewing machine. The cheapest, not cheapest because you do want it to last, like you don't want your machine to break. You just get a good quality cheap machine. Again, I don't know what machine you should get. I've been using my same brother sewing machine since I was in high school for over a decade, and it's been doing great for me. Like, I highly neglect this machine, so I'm honestly surprised that it's still going and still trucking along. So if I have any recommendation, I will say Brother is a good long-lasting brand. Can't compare that to any other brand though, but that is what it is. So next bare minimum essential, I'm going to say a seam ripper. A seam ripper is what you use to take out seams that didn't go well. Seam ripper is what you use when you mess up. If you have a seam that didn't go well, it's not tight enough, or you sewed the wrong thing, you made a mistake, whatever, what have you, you'll use a seam ripper to cut the threads that are holding the stitch together, and you'll be able to pull that stitch out and redo it. So when you're seam ripping a seam, this part, this little groove in here is what cuts the thread. Next item is a pin cushion. You don't need a pin cushion, but it kind of makes your life a little easier. I personally use a container. You put your pins in the pin cushion and they don't go anywhere. Like, you know where they are, they're stored there. You have less of a chance of poking your fingers, the ends of your fingers, with the stick pins. I've done that several times and it hurts every single time. So a push pin will help you keep track of your pins, but also prevent bodily injury. Dangerous. See, so I don't have a pin cushion and all my pins are in here and mixed up, so I do get poked sometimes and it hurts. So a pin cushion would be like a tomato or a ball. I'll show a picture, and then you just stick your pin inside of it so you can easily grab it out without risking life and limb. Your next essential is an iron. Irons are a must if you want anything to look nice and neat. When you sew, you have to press your seams or iron your seams to get them laying flat and to have them looking crisp and clean. So if you don't have an iron, you can't iron anything. Also, for basic wrinkles, you are scrunching your fabric, you're pushing it, you're maneuvering it in ways. So at the end of your project, you may want to iron it so you know it looks good and decent and not a mess. Next on the list is measuring tape. Measuring tape is important for fit. You want to, like, if you want to measure your bust, how big your bust, waist, and hips are, so you can choose the correct pattern. You can also use it to measure fabric width. You can also use it to measure fabric length, how big of a piece you need. Anything that really needs to be measured is good. It'll work. You can also have a ruler, but rulers don't like go around the body if you have to measure your waist or your hips. So I'd say go with measuring tape. Measuring tape, one side is inches, the other side is centimeters. It goes up to 5 feet. You can get this one. You will have to roll it up. So the next bare minimum essential you'll need in order to start sewing is a pencil. Pencil, pen, chalk. I've even seen people DIY soap and use it as chalk. But the reason why you want this is so you can mark your fabric. Patterns have notches and special points that need to be translated to the cutout pattern piece that'll help you sew. You use those as a guide on what to do while sewing. If you have to gather between a certain section, you have one mark here, and you'll only gather between this part. You won't gather on the outsides. So having a pen, pencil, chalk, or anything like that to mark your pattern piece is crucial, because you want to sew everything correctly and follow the directions that are given to you. Alright guys, so that's another video. This sums up part 2 of the 5-part series. Next week we are going to talk about the things you need to do to not be a lazy sewer. So if you want to see that video and catch the rest of the series, go on and hit that subscribe button. Also remember, I'm doing a Q&A for part 5, so if you have any sewing questions, any design questions, go on and put those in the comment box and I will make sure to answer them in that video. Until next time guys, stay safe and keep designing your best life. Bye.